Just wanted to point out one thing that I didn't mention last class, but I had a few of your classmates that said they finally found the tab button to questions, and I didn't mention. Uh, Down here is a tab, and when you first get to your file, it shows up as instructions. But then here, tab will take you to the questions wherein I was working on. Yeah, I showed you what I was working on. So hitting this tab right here gets you to change the screens. So I didn't mention that before, just thought I'd throw that out there just in case someone else was having issues with that. All right. So let's look at share. Gonna go over a few problems. Gonna go over a few problems in closing out 1.1. Let's see if my screen is still open. And of course it's not. All right, give me 1 second. So today we'll go over a few more problems in 1.1, closing out the section, look at a little bit in 1.2, and just to get you rolling. Try not to do too much content work like last time we only did part of 1.1 because I'm trying to get you, give you time to get acclimated to Excel work and Excel happenings because um, most of us haven't been forced to use Excel. And so this class kind of forces us to use Excel in order to complete it successfully. So trying to give you guys time and opportunity to get used to Excel, using and doing certain operations in Excel. So I'm trying not to bombard you with a whole bunch of content outside of the Excel stuff as well. But at the same time, we do have to move forward and all that good stuff like that. So this one right here, compute the periodic rate and interest in the first period for a $2,400 loan, 7.5% APR with the following periods. So I'll do one, let's go to my notes, show you what they mean with this. And this is from my earlier class. I might have to erase some stuff and rewrite, but at least I know. Right, so looking at number 6, that's what we're looking at, 1.1. They want from us to compute the periodic rate and interest in the first period for a $2,400 loan with a 7.5% APR. APR is annual percentage rate. So make sure, and you'll see it in the next problem, that we pay attention to the actual terminology because it's going to matter what you do and what you don't do. So 7.5% annual percentage rate. So they want us to find out first, A, what's the periodic rate monthly? So let me make sure the right screen is being shared. Right, okay. So the periodic periodic rate, if you want to find it out monthly, you would take the rate that you have and divide it by the time suggested. So in this case, we're talking about monthly, so you divide it by 12. There are 12 months in a year. And that will give you 0.708. Well, in this problem was 8.5, and the problem I just read was 7.5. So those numbers will change according to, your problem. You may have 7.5, you could have 6.5, could have 10.5, could have 10.7. So they're going to change the numbers a little bit so that everybody's not just copying numbers and just say, hey, here's this answer right here. So in this example, I have 8.5 percentage rate, 8.5 APR. If you want to know what's the monthly rate, you divide it by 12. And that will be, and they ask for 3 decimal places. Also, make sure you pay attention to the directions as far as decimal places and what they want from you. So 0.708 percentage came from dividing 8.5 by 12. Then they're going to ask us the interest. Let me go get that number exactly. Sorry, I forgot I was unmuted. I forgot I was muted. So they asked for the interest earned in the first period. So I didn't write that. That's why I had to go back to the screen to see what they were asking. So you would take the rate that we just calculated and multiply it times the balance. So don't forget, whenever you're going to use your rate as a calculation, you have to convert it to a decimal by moving your decimal 2 places to the left. So before you multiply that 0.708, don't forget it's a percentage. So that should be 0.00708. And then you multiply it times the balance that they mentioned in the problem. And if they're a decimal that's past 3 decimals, don't forget this is cents. They're going to say round dollars and cents. So it'll be 15.58 or $15.58. So make sure you're paying attention to the directions. Questions on what I did there before I go to B. So they asked for the monthly rate. So you divide it by 12. Then you take that monthly rate times it by the balance to let you know how much interest is earned per month. So now if they want you to do the daily rate, you would divide it by 365 and follow the same process. Whatever number you get from that, take the decimal place over 2, multiply times the balance. Quarterly, think about 4 quarters in the dollar. So that would be 4 times in the year. So you would take that 4, plug it in where you see the 12, and go through the same process. And then bi-weekly. There are 52 weeks in a year, but if you're talking about bi-weekly, you want to do it every 2 weeks. So that means 26 times this will occur in the year. And take that 26, substitute it in where that 12 is, and go through the process. So as far as number 6, questions on that? I mean, yeah, number 6. Yes, go ahead. Was somebody saying something? All right, y'all. Am I frozen or are y'all frozen? Like somebody say something to me.
I was asking, this information that we're going over now is coming from the math lab under assignments, the homework section functions.
Yes, 1.1.
1.1, okay.
All right. Hold on one second. Let me look at the next one. All right, so number 7, let's go there. All right, your monthly interest payment in the situation described for Sum 112 annual interest rate. We already did that. So maintain an average balance of $375 on your credit card. Carries a 24% annual interest, monthly interest payment. So it's the same thing we just finished doing, just that they're only asking the one question, which is monthly. So in the problem that I did before, it was a 15% annual percentage rate, and the balance was $660. So you take that 15%, you want to know the monthly interest earned or the monthly interest payment. take the 15% divided by 12, just like we did in the last one. That will give me 1.25%. Then multiply it times the 660, which was the balance. Don't forget once again to move your decimal to the left twice. All right, and that will be your answer. All right. Questions on 7. All right. Number 8. Let's go there. All right, it says find the monthly interest payment in the situation below. Assume that the monthly interest rate is 112 and your interest. Okay. Vic bought a new plasma TV for $2,400. He made a down payment of $500 and then financed the balance through the store. Unfortunately, he was unable to make the first monthly payment and now pays 3% interest per month on the balance. What is Vic's monthly interest payment? So this is what I was saying that you most definitely, I want examples of you having to be careful with the terminology. Notice how this one starts off. It says find the monthly interest payment in the situation below, blah, 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 blah. It starts off the same way as number 7. Yeah, so just number 7 does that, which sometimes when we see the same directions, we would think that we would start off and do the problem the same way, but that's not the case. You have to pay attention to the terminology. Remember, if we go back to 7, they gave us a 24% annual interest rate and then asked us about the monthly interest payment. So that's why we had to divide the 24 by 12. Now in this one, they asked us for the monthly interest payment, which is the same thing, but they gave us 3% per month. So they've already done the work as far as the dividing by 12. You don't divide that 3% by 12 because that is the 3% per month. Wherein before, go back, the percentage they gave us was 24% annually. Remember, annual is year. That's why we had to divide it by 12. So make sure you pay attention to the directions. So here we have 20. Let me take a picture so I can. All right, so let's go to the notes. So we had in this problem $2,400, and there was a down payment of $500, and that'll give us $1,900. And we had a 3% monthly interest. So now, on my last class, I just went in the background as to where this formula is coming from. Interest earned, simple interest rate, not simple interest rate, but simple interest earned is I equal to P times R times T, wherein P is your principal or your balance. R is your rate, T is your time. So we didn't mention time in the last few exercises because time is 1 year. We're just talking about 1 year. Anything times itself is just 1. So that's why we're just really looking at the principal or the balance times the rate, because we're only talking about 1 year. So when we look at this problem, we're looking at 1900 times 0.03. Once again, that comes from the 3%. I'll write that a little bit better. So that comes from 3%. Move your decimal to the left 2 spots. And once again, that 3% was a monthly rate. So that's why we didn't have to divide it by 12. And then you go ahead and multiply those two. And it'll be $57. Question. All right. Questions before we look at number 9. All right. So I'm not going to do all of your homework problems, but just doing a few to get you going, get you rolling. Um, let's see. Let's go to the next one. All right, so here we have, for an example, prorate the given expenses for the monthly cost. Okay, so Sarah pays $4,800 in tuition and fees for 2 semesters, an additional $310 for textbooks. So 4,800, 310. All right. Well, I can just leave this up here. This was the same example. We just had 3,500 and 370. So we had 3,500 per semester, 370 per semester for textbooks. So you add those together to get your total amount per semester. And then don't forget fall and spring are your 2 semesters for tuition. Normally summer is not included in that, tuition. And as far as your semesters, normally summer is like extra. So you have 2 semesters, fall and spring. So you multiply that 3,870 by 2. Then if you want to know the monthly prorated cost, you divide it by 12, and that'll be $645. All right. Questions on that one, that process? Everybody good, everybody straight. So the top number was 3,500 and add 370 to it.
Yearly.
All right. So I think we good. Don't see any questions. All right. So try these out in 1.1. See if you get stuck. Some questions may not come up until you actually start working on them. So like I said, I won't do all of your problems in 1.1, but I did want to get you started, get you rolling on the type of mindset you want to have when you're looking at problems in 1.1 and calculating your interest and monthly payments, things like that. All right. So let's step into 1.2. We want to do all of 1.2, just get it started. And then next class, I'll come back and finish off 1.2. I don't want to share yet. As a matter of fact, let's do this. All right. So 1.2 starts off with problems like this. I wanted to emphasize the difference between the two. So there's a difference And so what happens is in 1.2, they actually, a lot of it is calculation and emphasizing you guys knowing how to use your calculator and being able to do order of operations properly or see order of operations properly. See if I got the right one pulled up. All right, so as an example, it starts off like this. It says find the exponentiation by hand or perform the exponentiation by hand, and then use a calculator to check your work. So a lot of them are functioning in this nature in which you would do it in your head or by hand, and then check it with calculator. So I want to make sure we're okay with certain things that you see in this section. So first, you have this in the first one that we had -10. So you guys had -6, as far as me pulling up, it doesn't matter. It's the same thought process. There's a difference between -10 squared and then -10 squared with parentheses. When you do have parentheses, you are including the negative as a part of that squared application. So here we have -10 that's being squared with parentheses. That means -10 times -10. And negative times a negative is a positive 100. But if there is not a parentheses involved, then the only thing that's being squared is 10. So that means that negative is not being affected by the power. So notice we have 10 times 10, but the negative is still out here. And then in your final answer, the negative will still be there, but you have -100. The 10 times 10 is 100, and the negative is sitting on the outside. So that's the difference between having parentheses versus not having parentheses at all. Questions on that before we look at the next one? All right. Next problem, same thing. Next problem talks about translating. They don't want an actual answer, so they don't want you to throw this in the calculator. They want you to be able to interpret what this means actually, if you were to write it out. So 3 plus 4, 3 plus the quantity of 4 minus 6 divided by 7 times 3 plus 2 is A. So that same thing, same symbolism is in the notes, but just different numbers. So here, the way you would interpret this is you have 2 plus 3 minus 7. That 3 minus 7 is in parentheses. So that 3 minus 7 is sitting on top, or 3 minus 7, 3 minus 5, excuse me, is sitting on top of the 7 times 2 plus 3. So the thing that we have to emphasize here, or that should be emphasized, is PEMDAS, order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Or, if you have your auntie, Shaniqua, or whatever the case may be. PEMDAS is the order in which you would do your operations. Now, this is one of the things that a lot of people get wrong when it comes to like on Facebook, social media. They give this little math problem, and then everybody's saying this is the answer, and it's not really the answer. It's because they're doing PEMDAS wrong. You cannot stick solely to the order of the lettering. P is for parentheses. And, back in the day when they first introduced this in elementary, if you've never seen it before, that's when this normally is introduced back in elementary. P is still for parentheses, but as you continue to go further, there are more grouping symbols like brackets and braces. So any grouping symbol should get your attention first. So that's the first level of attention. Second is your exponents. Third is multiplication and division. They are on the same level, and they're done from left to right. And a lot of times where people make the mistake is that they give multiplication more precedent over division, and that is not the case. Multiplication and division are on the same level, just like addition and subtraction are on the same level, and you would just do them from left to right as you see them. So if I had something like this, 18 divided by 9 times 2, even though multiplication comes first in the order of your PEMDAS, division comes first from when I see it from going from left to right. So multiplication and division, once again, are on the same level, get the same level of attention. If division comes first in your operations, you do that before you would do multiplication, and vice versa. So I'll do 18 divided by 9, which is 2, 2 times 2, which is 4, and that's the proper way of handling the order of operations. So coming back up here, where a lot of people may make the mistake is that they would do 7 times 2 first, and that's not the case. The division should get your attention first, and that's why the division of 7 is under that 3 minus 5. So I just want to make sure we understood why this was written this way. So that division is applied to the 3 minus 5 first, then times 2. And whenever you see an asterisk in programming, that represents multiplication. And then you have the plus 3 in the back. All right. Questions on that one before we look at another one? And that's all they wanted you to do was pick the right one that looks like this. All right, so let's do another one. So here we see the difference. We have 2 plus 3 minus 5, the quantity of 3 minus 5 divided by 7 times 2 plus 3, and there's a parentheses around 7 plus times 2. And before, notice there was not a parentheses. So the way we would write that one, we would do 2 plus 3 minus 5 over 7 times 2, and then that's plus 3. So those parentheses make all the difference in the world. All right, problems with that before we look at another problem. Okay, so the next one says compute the following in your head. It's one of those things just like before. Try to do it in your head, and then if not, not if not, but once you get your answer, go ahead and check it with your calculator, and go from there. So, oh, didn't need to do that. So here, let's say we have 2 divided by 3 times 5. First thing I would do, once again, we're talking about PEMDAS order of operations, division, because that came first in our problem. So 2 divided by 3. Now in here, 2 divided by 3 is a run-on decimals, 0.6 repeated. They told us to round to 2 decimal places. So that's why I got 0.67. And like I said, that comes from the directions, 2 decimal places. So I have 0.67. So then I multiply that times 5. 5 times 7 is 35. Carry a 3, 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3 is 33. And just in case you reminder of the process, there are 2 decimals here in 0.67, 0 decimals in 5, 2 plus 0 is that 2, so that lets me know I should have 2 decimals in my final answer. And so that's how I got 3.35. And so you can always go back, like I said, check it in the calculator. Now, if you do this one in the calculator, you will get 3.33 because the calculator is more accurate. I have no way of multiplying 5 times 0.6 to infinity, but the calculator does its job in that regard. So the 3.35 should be good enough because that's what they asked for, the 2 decimal places. All right. Another one in that section, which was interesting. It goes back to leaning on using parentheses versus not using parentheses. Whenever you see this part of a triangle, they call it a hat or a caret, depends on who you're talking to, that represents exponent. That means you would raise the number that follows to an exponent of the number that precedes it. So we have to be careful here, the difference between using parentheses and not using parentheses. The first one, if I have 36 caret 1 divided by 2 and no parentheses, that's 36 raised to the first power because of the parentheses not being there. If the parentheses is there, then that's 36 raised to the 1/2 power. All right. If there's no parentheses, then that divided by 2 would follow and not be a part of your exponent. Okay. Everybody okay with the difference? So as you continue to calculate 36 to the first power, anything to the first power is itself. So then I got 36 divided by 2, which is 18. Next one, 36 to the 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root. Square root of 36 is 6. And so don't forget how square root works. You're asking yourself, what times itself twice will give me 36? And that is 6. So that's why my answer is such. So once again, this section is kind of emphasizing, well, at least the first part of this section is emphasizing using your calculator, using the symbolism, order of operations, being able to transfer order of operations into Excel, and so on. Just being able to write it properly in Excel, I should say, and so on. Questions on anything I've said up to this point? Anything I need to restate? Let me know before I go any further. Some questions, once again, some questions may not come up until you actually get into the section and start doing it, start working on it. And if that's the case, I know we're about to go into the weekend. Always feel free to shoot me an email. I can answer questions through the email, or you can wait till class and have your classmates benefit from your question as well. Mr. Echoes, did you have a question? I saw you unmute.
Oh. I've been looking at this problem. Like, do you solve it, or you just gotta explain what it is?
You talking about the 36?
Yeah.
That one they're gonna ask you to give the actual answer to. Let me go back to the screen. All right, hold on 1 second. Yeah, for this one, you're gonna actually have to put in the answer. So, yep. So let's see, 2.4, right? Yeah. Yep. So calculator, okay, something like this. All right. So like I said, a lot of it is calculator plug and play, doing it by hand and then checking it with your calculator. Most definitely don't do it by hand and then not check it with the calculator. You want to put in the right answers and get credit for the right answer. Next type of problem is for us to evaluate. And they give us an algebraic expression and then give us numbers to plug in for those variables. So let's say we have AC minus B divided by A, and A is -3, B is -9, and C is 3. You plug in your values accordingly. So A is -3, so that's -3 times C, which is +3, minus B, which is -9, divided by -3. Any problems with the substitution? Right. Then you follow your order of operations. -3 times 3 is -9. Negative to a negative turns positive. So now I have negative 9 plus 9 divided by negative 3. Don't forget order of operations though. Next thing I'll do is division. So 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. And then negative 9 plus negative 3 is negative 12. All right. This over here was just something that somebody had asked, just reemphasizing, sign work. Positive 9 plus negative 3 would have gave you a positive 6. So that had nothing to do with the problem. It was something somebody else had asked about. Questions on anything? Concerns, comments? Another one I saw in there. Oh, they had it the wrong way. Well, it doesn't matter. Do it that way. Negative 7 times negative 4 squared plus 9. And just, once again, following order of operations. I think all they said was, says perform the indicated operations by hand, then use a calculator to check your work. So, first thing we would do is exponents. Negative 4 times negative 4. So positive 16. Then we have negative 17 times 16. So 7 times 6 is 42, carry a 4. So that'll be 112. And then negative 112 plus 9 should be a negative 103. So yep. So the first part of that section is this type of thinking and this type of operating. Next part actually gets into solving equations. I'm actually going to save that for next class. I'm not trying to hit you guys with a lot of stuff. I'm trying to give you room to get used to using Excel and get used to Excel happenings. So I try not to hit you with a lot, but at the same time, we do have to move forward and all the good stuff like that. So questions on anything Excel related, anything that I've mentioned as far as chapter 1, get 1112. So everybody's good, everybody's straight. I see a lot of silence. I don't see faces. Hold on. No, I'm good. I don't see that many faces, so I don't know if anybody's shaking their head, yes or no. So try this stuff out. See if you get stuck. I haven't looked to see how many people have actually turned in the Excel assignment yet, but make sure you get in there and try this stuff out. We're closing out for the weekend. I won't see you again until Monday, so make sure you communicate. Oh, I just communicate through email if you have any issues. I just found out from the course coordinator that if you have a Chromebook, it will be a difficult task for you to be able to download the Excel assignments. So you would actually have to use another device, another computer. Chromebook does not download the Excel files properly. So I'll be sending an email out for that, but I found it out because I had a student that had a problem with that. last class. So I just found that out. Quick question, unrelated notes. Do you understand? Quick question, related. Okay, notes. Do you understand? Oh, do I know? Okay, you left out no. Okay. The Learning Center should be open now. Yeah, Learning Center. Let me say it right. The Learning Center should be open now, and be accessible to everyone. All right. Anything else? Anybody else before we look to close out? Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Which email do you use? The Zoom or the Gmail?
Gmail? When you say you talking about your emails or my
If we
email?
needed your email, we needed help with the homework, do we go through the Canvas or do we go through the tcc.edu for you?
Oh, either one. Either
Okay.
one is fine. It shouldn't be a Gmail though. It should be vtucker@tcc.edu, or like you said, you can use Canvas. Either one, it goes. Either way, it goes to the vtucker@tcc.edu. So for right now, as far as homework, there's no homework that is actually due. Technically, I have not set a due date for your homework. Trying to give us room to get used to this Excel stuff before you start feeling the fire of a due date. But as we get closer to closing out the lectures for chapter 1, then I will set a due date for all of chapter 1's assignments. So it won't be that 1.1 and 1.2 is due on a Sunday or something like that. All of chapter 1 will be due on a certain due date. So somebody asked about due dates. Any other questions before we look to close? So at this moment, we've talked about 1.1 and part of 1.2's my math lab assignments. That's what you guys should be trying to knock out. And also that Excel, that original orientation Excel assignment, you want to knock that out as well. So that's what we're most definitely trying to get taken care of. If you want to move ahead, somebody asked me about moving ahead last class. So there's no penalty for moving ahead. If you want to move ahead and, get ahead and do some things before we talk about it, that is fine. There's no penalty. If you get something wrong, you always can redo it when we get there, or you can ask me in an email outside of class. I would just ask that if you're in chapter 2, you don't ask me about chapter 2 question in the chat, because I don't want to confuse anybody who's not ready for chapter 2, at this moment. So you just ask me, or maybe you would, if we have time later, let's say if I let out class early, you stay behind and, ask me once everybody else is closed out. So, but if you want to move ahead, always feel free to do so as well. Anything else, anybody else before we look to close? I might, do we have multiple chances with the Excel like the other homework? Yes. If you submit the Excel assignment and the things you need to change, I most definitely will allow you to do so to get it right. Yep. Most definitely, most definitely. Anything else? And I'm gonna see if I can find other things that I can give you guys to help you with getting used to using Excel. Because like I said, it's a little different because, you may have used Excel here or there in your pre life before this course, I should say. But now this course is forcing us to use Excel. So it might be a little different, than what you used to doing or what you used to being exposed to. So with that being said, I will let you guys go. Oh, got one more chat. Okay, so ignore my email from this morning. All right, we'll do. Does Excel give you the correct answers when it's submitted? I don't think so. But if there is a question on anything, you can always email me. And yes, so your classmates are saying no, it doesn't. So you can always email me and we can talk about what you may have gotten wrong. So that's not a big deal. We can walk it out. Just to clarify, when computing count min max in the formula. It would be equal. Yes. Yep. And also, if you have these tips and stuff, don't forget to share it in the water cooler thread, the discussion thread that I created for you guys. All these things, will help people, help your classmates. Asking those questions in there, they can help you as well. So don't forget, you don't have to wait till class time to ask a class question. Somebody else may have the answer. Yep. And somebody said there's a button that Excel that does it automatically. So yep. So once again, don't forget you do have the option of asking your classmates. If I don't get to you in the time that you would like for me to get to you, you could shoot the question to me and in an email and to the class if it's not a personal question. So just remind you that option is out there. Anything else before we close? Got it. Good. It rest straight. Where's the water cooler located on? It's in Canvas and it should be under discussions. The discussion link should be the only discussion thread there. All right. I see. Okay, cool. Great. All right. Anybody else? Everybody good? That's straight. All right. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe. See you on Tuesday. No, yeah, Tuesday. Hold up. What is it? No, Monday. Okay, Monday is a holiday. Right? Labor Day? Yeah. So Monday is a holiday. So I won't see you Monday. I will see you on Wednesday. See you on Wednesday. All right. I'll probably shoot an email out to remind you about that. Okay. Outside of that, I will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.
Have a good evening.
All right, you do the same, man.